Hi, I'm Gus Prestera. I'm here to talk to you about the EasyPress all-in-one leader guide format. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how we go about integrating all of our design, development, and maintenance work into a single PowerPoint file. I'm going to start with a blank PowerPoint file, and the first thing I'm going to do is go into the View Notes Master. And that's going to bring up the Notes Master, and not a lot of people know that it exists, and those who know that it exists oftentimes don't utilize it to its full capabilities. But what I'm going to show you is that this is very configurable, and you can create a really nice leader guide layout for yourself. It'll be limited only by your imagination. So first, what I typically do is I'll take the thumbnail of the slide that appears here. This is a thumbnail, and you can resize it. You got to hold the Shift key down to keep the aspect ratio, and we don't necessarily need it to be quite that big. We want to leave room on the screen for other stuff. And I can push it all the way out to the border, because what's going to happen is when this prints out as a PDF or you print it out onto a printer, it's going to add your margins in. So things that are up against the border here will not actually print up against the border. So as long as you're inside the borders, you're okay. Then I'm going to take the talking points. I'm going to configure those the way I like and move those around. Again, you can resize it and give it a different shape and what have you. And again, I'm going to put that close to the border here. All right, and then if you want, what you can do is you can, the speaker notes, you see that it's got some dummy text there, and you can change that up. You can change the font, you can change the size. I usually like to go with a 10-point Calibri font there. And you can even go in and change up these bullets. So if you want, if you want this kind of bullet here, and you want this kind of bullet there. So what will happen is, as you indent your text in your box there, it will automatically put these bullets in for you. And you can configure these any way you like. You can add spacing in here, all sorts of good stuff. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little box over here on the side that's going to contain my leader guide information. So the instructions for my instructors. So I'm going to create a box here. Move that down a little bit. Don't want it to cut into my talking points text. And then I can put whatever I want on that. And of course, format things any way I want, whatever colors, whatever color scheme I'm using. I can format these boxes any way I want. Go into Format Shape, Text Options, Text Box, and I can change anything about it that I want. All right, so I'm going to change up the font size, get it down to 10, like that. Okay, and in here I'm going to, give it a name, leader instructions, or whatever I want to call that. Right, and you don't have to necessarily have a border around the box. I can take the border out. Okay, great. And then up in the top corner here, I'm going to create for myself and for my audience maybe a little outline. Program outline. Maybe I want to format it the same way as this. I'm going to use my format painter. Do that. And there we go. Great. And so I've created an outline, and I can actually start to populate that outline. So introduction, section 1, whatever we're going to call that, section 2, section 3, section 4, and wrap up. And then I can format those any way I like. And you start to see it taking shape as a leader guide. Now the nice thing is that this outline will appear, because this is a master template, this outline will appear on every page. And so I only need to update it once here in the Notes Master, and it will populate every single page without my having to do any of that work of going into every page and updating the outline. So that's pretty cool. Anything that I create in here is going to be seen on every single page. So I want to think about what do I want to have in the master versus what things do I not want to have in the master that I want to be able to control on a page-by-page basis. And then I don't usually keep these. The dates I will usually put down in the footer, and I usually take the footer and header out, and I do other things with this, which I'll show you in some examples in a moment. I do keep the page number in, but up at the top I will put in a logo, you know, and you know, whatever, and the name of the business, the name of the program along the top right. Copyright information at the bottom, publish date, and page numbers and things like that. So, you know, you'll have your own format that you want to have for that. But this is how you create your leader guide template. And then once I'm done, I close it, and you see the slide is not affected at all by any of this. But when I go look at a notes page, not the notes master, but a notes page, you can see that all that stuff is in here. And now it's not editable here, right? Because I created it in the master, so it's only editable in the master. But I can go in and I can populate talking points, and whatever I put on my slide is going to appear here in the thumbnail. So anything, no matter what it is going to already appear for you automatically on every single page. So there's no more of that copying and pasting slides onto your leader guide or onto your participant guide. All that goes away, which is wonderful. And then what I try to do is over here on the right-hand side, I try to have talking points here. So these are the things that I would either want the instructor to say or that I would want people to read, participants to read. I don't try to, and because the audience, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give both the instructors and the participants this same information. So the talking points will be the same for both. And that way it's consistent. I'm telling the instructor exactly what I want them to say, and I'm telling the students exactly what I want them to know. Now, of course, instructors can vary from those talking points, and they will vary from those talking points just like they normally do, but I've provided it there for both audiences. Over on the left-hand side in the leader instructions, I'm only going to have stuff in there that's relevant to the leader. So if there's an activity to run, I'm going to give them instructions for how to run it. If there's a flip charting exercise I want them to do, I'm going to have them do that. Group-based activities, role plays, like games I want them to play, anything like that, I'm going to be providing instructions there on the left-hand side. But I don't want the participants to see that. So what I'm going to need to do is, at some point, before I print my participant guide version, I'm going to cover this up with a box. I'm going to make it a white box, and then I'm going to call it my notes, and then I'm going to move it up there. Okay, so good. And I can take the outline off of it. So for the participants, what they're going to see is a document that has the slide on it, the talking points, the outline. All of those are relevant to them, but it won't have any of the instructor notes. That I'm going to cover up with this box here that says My Notes. And this is a now nice big white space where the participant can write their own notes. So this way I don't need to provide extra blank paper for class notes. That's another kind of tedious thing that goes out the window. And these days a lot of folks take notes electronically, or they have their own notepads. So it's really oftentimes a waste of paper. And so this way they can take their notes right in the participant workbook where it's actually going to be most useful anyway. So this is how we put it all together. And I'm going to show you in a second what it looks like when it's in a real finished state with a real document after you've done a lot of fine tuning and cleaning up. But this is the essence of it. So now let me show you a real life example. So I'm pulling up for you here the Three Kingdoms Primer module workbook. So what you see here is a notes page view. And what I've done is I've actually moved the slide and talking points out of the way and used the whole thing as a canvas to create my cover page. So you don't need to create a cover separately. You can do it right here in the notes page. And so what the participant would see is the slide. So when you're going through the workshop or the webinar or whatever, in this case it happens to be a video-based MOOC, but I'm using PowerPoints as an anchor for that. So what the participants will see will be this slide, but what they'll see in their workbooks will be this cover page. So anyway, so on the cover page, you can do anything you want, and with any of the different shapes and text boxes and so forth, and you can just cover up the template. But then you go to slide 2 here, and you see the template master that I've created in the notes master, the template that I've created, where I've got my branding, I've got my course outline, I've got more information up here. We've got the slide thumbnail here. Underneath that, we've got the talking points, and over on the left-hand side, the My Notes box, which is covering up the instructor notes. Right, so the facilitation guide, which I've blown out and have a lot more detail in here, where I've got the duration, the number of builds in each slide. I've got detailed instructions in here for the instructor, and actually below that, I've even got stuff that would be relevant for an e-learning module. So this actually becomes more like an e-learning storyboard, where I've got media notes down at the bottom. I've got programming notes. Estimated during narration time if we were going to get these recorded, a template identification number down at the bottom. So all sorts of fancy things that you can put in here depending on what your system is and what you require. But the point is, anything that's in here is really just for your internal view or your instructor to view, because you're just going to cover that up for the participants. They're never going to see that. And right, and so what I can do is I slide this over. Now I don't have to do this manual in each one. I can just do it for one. I can copy, and then I can go to the next one wherever there is one already. Right, like this one here, and I can paste, and it'll cover it up. It'll put it in the same exact spot on every page. So I don't need to go through and spend a lot of time putting these boxes in. You do it once, place it, copy and paste it into all the other slides. It takes just a moment to do. Very quick and easy. And then from here I can generate my PDF, publish my PDF, which looks something like this. Actually, it looks just like this. And you can see, so the participants got their My Notes, lots of space down here for writing their notes. They've got the talking points, they've got the slide, and a nice professional looking participant workbook that can be used for all sorts of different stuff. And here again, your creativity is your only limitation. You can do all sorts of stuff with the workbook in terms of creating, turn it into a real workbook where you actually have boxes in there for them to write stuff in, and exercises and things like that. All that can be done in here. So there's no need to go externally to any other documents. And at the same time, you've got your space in there for your instructors, and you can provide all the instructions that you need for them. So hopefully you'll find this a very convenient format. You see that it's not too complicated to do. And once you get the hang of it, you can build more complexity into it and do more robust things with it, and have a lot of fun with it. So hopefully it turns ILT creation into, from what used to be kind of drudgery and a kind of painful process of working with lots of different documents and making edits across multiple documents. Now you're just working with one file, making edits once, and that's it, and you walk away, and it reduces the time that it takes. It reduces the minutia that you have to deal with, and it makes designing fun again, which is really, for me, at the end of the day, what I was trying to accomplish. I didn't want to have to spend a lot of time on administrivia. I wanted to be able to just focus on design as much as possible, and this sort of format's enabling me to do that, and I hope you'll find it helpful as well. So good luck to you.